Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined as always by my counterpart on the East Coast, Nate Weitzer. Another great article with some best bets on playpicks.com for you guys from Nate tonight. We're going to jump right into those lines. As always, if you do need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com, find those local listings. And as always, please jump in those comments. Let us know who you're betting on, like and subscribe to that video. And stay tuned for another gift card coming pretty soon. As for now, Nate, let's just jump into the lines for April the 1st.
Gift card Friday. Make it happen tomorrow. Today, opening day for MLB. Not that Josh cares, or many of you, I'm sure. But the NBA has a full slate, starting with the Sixers, -10 at the Cavs. The Wizards are -3 at Pistons. Bradley Beal still questionable. The Hornets are +3 at Nets, with Harden questionable on the second end of their back-to-back. The Warriors are +2.5 at the Heat. The Magic are +9 at Pelicans. Hawks and Spurs is a pickup game as the Spurs go on their second leg of a back-to-back. And then the premier matchup of the night, Nuggets -1.5 at Clippers. And I'm going to start tonight. The first thing I'm looking at is the play of Russell Westbrook, following a little shade thrown at him by Stephen A. Smith on ESPN First Take. Not that he was blatantly disrespectful in any way. It's nothing he hasn't said before, but Westbrook isn't a guy who needs a lot to find that motivation. He's got that Jordan streak, right? And he had, a thoughtful, lengthy response to Stephen A. in terms of his triple doubles being devoid of meaning because he's not a champion. And he responded that he is a champion and he will let his play do the talking tonight in a very easy matchup against the Pistons. They are 23rd in defensive rating over their last 5. They allow the 6th most paint points per game, which is obviously key for Westbrook. He has shredded that defense to the tune of 24 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists on a 35% usage rate in his last 7 meetings with Detroit. This version of Detroit now starting rookie Saban Lee and Hamidou Diallo in their backcourt as they completely rebuild. I like the Wizards to win. They've won 4 of their last 5 against the Pistons. The Pistons are on a back-to-back, and they're just 2-8 with a rest disadvantage this year. And they're allowing a high percentage, in fact, the second highest percentage of points off free throws over the past couple weeks. And Washington is the number 1 free throw shooting team. Westbrook is the main source of that. We haven't seen his props released yet because Beal may or may not play. I would bet the Wizards early, hoping maybe Beal plays and gives them a bigger lift. And then I would keep an eye out for Westbrook props and jump on those once you see if Beal is out.
Yeah, no, we should start calling you Dr. Revenge as you keep seeking out those great storylines. I love Russell Westbrook as a player to bring the fuck you factor to the game for sure. So I'm with Russell Westbrook props all the way. And if Beal plays, I'm going to grab that Washington line early. I love your strategy there. Another game I'm going to look at that I think is going to be a kind of a muck it up game, to be honest, is that Warriors Heat game. I think the Warriors just match up really, really poorly with the Heat. We know that actually they kicked off a nice Warriors run last time these teams met when the Warriors came back from a double-digit fourth quarter deficit to have Steph go off and they beat the Heat by 1 in overtime in that game. It was a game that you thought the Heat had in control because of, as I said, they match up super well. Golden State, they need to cause turnovers. Their offense is not good this year. Bottom 10 in all efficiency ratings, top 10 in defense efficiency. So you do look for them to need to be able to score off turnovers as they score the 7th most highest percentage of their points off of turnovers of any team in the league. Miami does create turnovers at a great rate, and they don't allow fast break points at all, which, the Warriors really need with Steph coming down and pulling and keeping teams off balance. And the Warriors really at this point, they turn the ball over way too much. Is not good against a Heat team that is obviously going to be stifling. And they give up a ton of free throws and they foul a ton. Miami gets a ton of their points off free throws. I think you're going to see this game get a bit choppy and stay potentially under the total, which seems kind of high at about 220 right now. And really that small spread for the Heat, I really like with Jimmy Butler coming in is continuing to play out of control. And as we know, the Heat, they go streaking, right? They won 11 to 12. And now that, they're coming off of a couple wins in a row after another bunch of losses. So I think we're on the upward trend of that streaking Heat team right now. And we're going to continue to see them play well and be able to handle the Warriors this time.
Yeah, and continue to exploit the Warriors when they face good teams. They're 10-18 against teams with a winning record. They're 4-12 when listed as road underdogs this season. Uh, this is an interesting matchup because Miami, yes, completely denies paint points. They've been great defensively lately. They actually give up the most 3-pointers per game at home. Um, and that's kind of the Milwaukee Bucks strategy, patented strategy from a couple years ago, which is, we're going to let you shoot threes. We're going to protect the paint, but we're going to pick who shoots threes.
Right.
And they're going to deny Steph and make all the other Warriors shoot threes. And they're frankly not very good at it. Spoelstra has done a great job of that. In his last 2 meetings with Miami, Steph is just 9 for 34 from 3. So I think that's the key matchup you're going to look at there. Miami, just so much depth to throw at Steph, and he's just one guy. I think the Heat, yes, they get their 3rd straight win tonight and make you feel like a happy bettor there.
Yes, sir.
And the second game I'm looking at, is just going to be fun to watch. Clippers and Nuggets. Just looking at the Clippers, they're also kind of a trendy team in terms of they will let a game go, absolutely just let it go. Like playing Orlando, has no one on the team, but they just coughed up a 4th quarter lead, said, whatever, we're looking ahead to our next game. They've done that all year, and then they go 13-3 after a loss, and 8 of their last 10 games after a loss have gone over. Now, I know we've liked a lot of overs lately. They haven't always hit. This one is creeping down to about 220, which is definitely exploitable when you look at a Denver team that's top in offensive rating and 25th in defensive rating. In their last 10 games, they're 27th in 3-point defense in that span. As we know, the Clippers are the best 3-point shooting team by percentage. The Clippers have done a much better job of attacking the rim lately with Terrence Mann getting a steady run in their rotation, and the Nuggets are the worst team in terms of protecting the rim. Yeah. You will see no Patrick Beverley, Serge Ibaka, or Paul George for the Clippers tonight, which is going to drastically hurt their defense. Marcus Morris also questionable. But I think that the Clippers can still score no matter what. Aaron Gordon was brought in to be a defensive stopper. I don't think he signed up to deny the most consistent mid-range scorer in the game. So I'm looking at Kawhi, who has a 32% usage rate and averages 27.5 when George is out. I'm looking at him to top his prop of 26.5. I like Reggie Jackson to top his prop, 13.5 points. And I think I kind of like the Clippers to win, but I think more importantly, just give me some points. In those last 5 games where the Clippers, quote, give a shit, not their 2 scheduled losses against the Spurs and Magic, they're averaging 125.8 points per game. That's insane. And obviously the Nuggets will come along for the ride. They've been on fire offensively too.
Yeah, no, I'm with that. Aaron Gordon coming in as a defensive stopper makes no sense to me either. But I think the offense is going to continue to be able to be incredibly efficient for Denver as well. The lack of certain players suiting up tonight for the Clippers scares me, but the total is something that I'll follow you along with for sure. A game I'm sorry to have to put us through real quick, but it is one that I find value is that Philly Cleveland game. It's going to be pretty ugly. I think you're looking at 2 teams that are struggling to score. Philly without Embiid in their last 9 games. They're 6-3 straight up, 5-4 against the spread. They've taken advantage of some bad teams like as bad as Cleveland in that span, but they do have the number 1 defensive rating, down 5 points since Embiid went out. You see Ben Simmons really stepping it up and trying to prove he is defensive player of the year and a lot more valuable than people might give him credit for because he can't shoot. But that defense is incredible right now. Their offensive rating does go down 2 points without Embiid. As I mentioned, their last 9, only scoring 107 points per game. They average about 114.5 on the season. So that's obviously much, much worse without Embiid. But that does lead me to think that, at 213, the total isn't very high. But I still think you're going to see Cleveland struggle to score 100. You haven't even seen Philly score 110 in their last 5 or 6 games. The recent history also shows that these teams go under 18 out of their last 24 matchups have gone under. And for Philly, their last 6 as road favorites. They're 6-0 with that under, and 4-1 in their last 5. As far as the under going for Philly. So you're going to continue to see that tonight in a game where Cleveland's going to fail to score without Larry Nance, no Jared Allen once again tonight. So they're going to continue to struggle as they did. They beat Philly recently. I don't love 9.5 points at all, especially when Philly's not at home. But I do feel pretty confident. At the very least, I might tease that under up a few points, maybe about 218. And combine that with actually the game that you mentioned in that LAC and Denver game, having that maybe tease that down a few points, take that over, and combine those two for still a bit more than even money on that one.
Savvy play right there from JL Boogie. Yeah, I like that a lot. The Cavs really, I've been sort of the most consistent team in the NBA in terms of scoring under 100 in their games. So, especially against a Philly defense that is stalwart, I think we could see another under from them tonight. And that brings us to our DFS plays with Larry Nance, Jared Allen out. CD Osman has been a DNP coach's decision lately. We're looking at guys named Dean Wade and Isaiah Hartenstein to step up and be the darlings of your DFS rotation. That's just what you got to do in this game. If James Harden is out, Bruce Brown should step up as a low-priced option. Those Clippers we mentioned, Terrence Mann, Reggie Jackson, are fantastic plays against the Nuggets. On the other side, I would expect Jamal Murray to come right back with no Patrick Beverley to stop him. Obviously, if you can afford Russell Westbrook, that's a priority play tonight. But if you have to go cheap at point guard, again, the Pistons on the other side, they're giving Corey Joseph a lot of run, the veteran, and Hamidou Diallo has been very efficient in his minutes. He's more of a tournament play because he's not playing over 30 minutes yet, but he has a huge usage rate in his time on the floor.
Yeah, and two quick things. We didn't mention James Harden went down with an ankle injury last night. No timetable on his return, but you can definitely find some good value with those Nets players, with Kyrie being the only main scoring option tonight for the Nets. And then, as you mentioned, Steph will be on complete lock and key tonight for the Warriors. And as we know, Miami will force other people to shoot, meaning maybe Jordan Poole gets a few looks at the basket and a couple threes to help your DFS lineups tonight.
And if Harden's out for multiple weeks, that really kind of puts the MVP in Jokic's arms, does it not?
Hugely. Keep an eye on that for sure. So we will be doing so. As we said earlier, we'll be back tomorrow with the opportunity for another gift card. And as for tonight, we'll be watching everything. Make sure you jump in those comments. Let us know who you guys got and like and subscribe to that video for us. If you like what we're bringing you, we'll be looking for a good night tonight. Back tomorrow, and happy betting.